We are going to go ahead and get started today. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. This is our first of a new monthly webinar series we're rolling out here at Pioneer B1 in response to client requests for more training and education opportunities. We want you to know that we heard you, and this will be the first of many steps we take in providing more opportunities for you to learn how you can better leverage SAP Business One to help grow your business. With that being said, welcome to Pioneer B1's webinar on SAP Business One version 9.3, or What You Need to Know. Today, we'll be going over some of the new features of this version and try to give you an idea of how you'll be able to use them within your own business. At the end of each section of the presentation, we will address any questions we receive in the text-based chat located to the right of your screen, and we will open the audio lines at the end of the presentation to answer any other questions that you may have. Today's presentation will be hosted by Oren Tabib, the CEO and owner of Pioneer B1, who I'm sure most of you are familiar with, and Elizabeth Cameron, an SAP Business One consultant and our resident expert in all SAP Business One version updates. And with that, I'll turn it over to them.
So just wanted to say happy Friday, everyone. Can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
All right, great. So when we prepared this presentation, there were a lot of topics and we could probably be here for a few hours. So we really selected the areas that are most affecting most of the customers. So we prepare a great agenda for you, hopefully today. But if you wish to drill down into any of those areas, please feel free to reach out to me, to Beth, or to Jennifer, and let us know what are the topics you're looking to hear and to get trained on more, and we'll be happy to include that in future presentations. So the agenda for today is related to the 9.3. We're going to start with the RMA, the Return Material Agreement authorization introduced in 9.3. We'll see how the approval procedure could be very, very beneficial after what SAP added. Look at some email enhancements, a lot of flexibility around user management. So I'm sure many of you that have a lot of users to manage will be thrilled to see that. Financial enhancement, we're going to look at only a few of them. Also, SAP introduced many others. The new law in Europe, the GDPR, we're going to spend maybe 5 minutes on that to explain the concept. But because in the US and for most companies, it's not relevant yet, we are not going to talk about it for a long time, maybe under a separate session. There are a lot of production enhancement we're going to try to touch in the main one related to most customers. And there will be some additional enhancement. I'm not sure if we'll be able to handle all of them, but we're going to introduce them. And there is a lot of documentation that we're going to share that will allow you to learn more about the feature we're going to talk about and the additional enhancements you're going to see. And with that being said, we're going to start with the RMA process. So SAP introduced 2 new documents or transactions, goods request on the AR side, return request, or goods return request on the AP side. It has its own numbering series, so you can manage the authorizations and what agreed with the customers. It does affect the item's availability, so as soon as you create return request, you will see that it affects item availability on the ordered sides because you're supposed to receive it. Well, it depends which transaction. And it's available in many different areas in the software, in service calls, open item lists, etc., etc. So let's go into SAP. So you'll see that under sales menu now there is return request. Let's see how that works. So I'm gonna really quickly create a new sales order, give it a delivery date, and just choose a random item. And I'm gonna deliver this sales order. So copying to delivery. and obviously you can continue to copy to invoice and things of that nature. And the client now calls and they got a bad product and they want to return it. One of the things, if you allow them to return, you can go directly into the return request, choose the client, and the system will allow you to copy from the delivery or the invoice. In this case, it was a delivery, so I can copy from the delivery. Another way to do that, if you are using the service module, is to log a service call to this client. So a client calls, they have a bad product, they complain maybe about this product, and the subject is bad product requested to return and approved. Sorry. And then we can add that service call and go to the related document. This allows you to add any new document. So you can go into the details. If you create new document, now you will see under AR document, the return request available. And obviously under the AP, you will see the good return request available. So we're gonna start with the return request that does not affect inventory, but affect availability. In this case, we are going to copy from the delivery. The last delivery was this one. And we're going to copy all data. So we see it's coming into the return request. Now we have a couple of other fields that we can log the return reason. And this is fully customizable. So you can choose your own return reasons and things of that nature. You can choose your own return actions and stuff like that. But let's say that in that case, it was a bad product and, they're just going to return it without any replacement or anything of that nature. And I'm gonna add that into the system and update the service code. So now, if we go and drill down into the item in the inventory data, we will see that it's from some reason it doesn't do that in this case, but it affects my availability. So I have two in stock. It doesn't affect stock, but it does affect availability. And then as you finish with the transaction, the other thing you can do, it did affect availability in warehouse one, but for example, if you don't want that to affect your main warehouse availability, the other thing you can do is choose the return warehouse, and that will affect the availability on the return warehouse. So if I update that return request now, go back into the item, now you'll see that in the return warehouse, you have two in stock that we saw earlier, but now we have ordered quantity that affect my availability and creates that a 3 because it's supposed to be received in the due date we specified here. The next step as it get to our warehouse is to get to the return request and to copy to a return document or to a credit memos. If you have warehouse employees, they can take a look at the open item list. Now the return request and the return goods request are available in this menu. You can see which open return request you have, drill down into the return request and copy that into a return document, add that document into the system, and in that phase it will affect inventory. In addition to that, everything is being recorded in the relationship map. So everything we've done here is going to be recorded. There was a sales order and a delivery, return request that came from the service call that pushed to a return document. And I think this is pretty much it. So simple, straightforward, but really does the work and enable you to manage all the returns. The next one is approval procedure, but I'm going to let Beth talk about it.
Thank you. So this has got to be one of my favorite new features in 9.3. The approval the approval module was always, you know, a powerful module, really able to customize it, able to customize any kind of approval scenarios that you needed to. You were able to send, you know, all types of documents through an approval process, but there was still a gap between, you know, the power that it had and the business use. In the sense that if you had a document, you know, previous to 9.3, if you had a document that was had gone through the approval process, you couldn't update it. So in that case, you know, if we wanted to make one change, if we had a purchase order going through the approval process and we wanted to make one change to the purchase order, we would have to cancel it and then recreate a purchase order and send it back through the approval process. So now SAP in 9.3 has given you the option to, thanks, Soren, has given you the option to adjust these settings at the company level. And you can now choose to be able to update a document that it was generated through the approval process and also a document draft that's in the approval process. So in both of these cases, the approver is always going to see the latest document that has gone through the approval process. And it just makes sure that, you know, any kind of document that you have that's going through that approval process is going to obtain approval with every update that you do to the document. So this really adds to the traceability also of these approvals. You know, before, like I said, you would have to cancel a document and then recreate it. And now in the approval status report, oh, sorry. There we go. So now in the approval status report, it's good as a default. We have a column over here called draft key, and this will help you determine what number draft that you're on, and it really helps, you know, say if there's a discrepancy with one of your customers on, you know, on a document, you can say, okay, this is the draft that I'm looking at, that kind of thing. So it gives you that additional traceability. So really powerful.
Thank you, Beth. I'm gonna close all windows here. And by the way, if anyone have questions as we go through this webinar, we wanted to mute everybody so we don't have audio issues, but please feel free to ask in the chat and we'll answer any questions. The next one is the few email enhancements SAP introduced. We going to introduce only two of them that I think are significant. The one thing is to be able to, in the document printing, to print or to send email only to the one that haven't been sent yet. And the second one is the ability to set up SMTP or mailer for each company or each database separately. So let's look where those definitions are. And this is actually feedback we provided to SAP, including the approval procedure that we are very proud they added to 9.3. So feel free to give us additional feedback on the software. We have direct contact with the product management, and in some cases they listen to us. One of the things that they enhance is if we go to the service here, if you have multiple databases, the mailer or the SBO mailer feature was always defined on the server level. Now it gives you the flexibility to do that on a company level. So if you have multiple databases and you want each one to, maybe it's a different company, maybe it has a different email SMTP, you can define that in this section. The second thing that we asked from SAP, and that was an issue when they introduced the ability to batch send invoices or sales order. One of the things that we were missing is the ability to send only for documents that yet to be emailed. And before that, there was only the only documents yet to be printed or open only. It didn't help. So now, if we want to send all today's AR invoices, we can click OK. If we send one or two of them using the SBO mailer feature, that allow you to send in batch. It will send that document, but it will also flag it as been sent. So next time we go into the printing document, that same document is not going to be shown. So you can email only documents yet to be emailed. Okay. There are a couple of other enhancements around emails. They're in the documentation. So if you are interested, go ahead, or we can have a separate session about that. But with that, I'm going to transfer to Beth, who's going to show you some exciting news about user management enhancements.
Thanks, Aaron. So with 9.3, they really added a lot in terms of user management enhancements. And by that, we mean any of these enhancements we kind of group together that help the user experience, help with customization at the user level, or like our user groups here will really help the administrator. It helps with ease of administrating, really, and cuts down time on the tasks there. So user groups, for example, if we look into those, they've added a lot of features here, and now you're able to create user groups. For instance, we'll look at alerts. So say we have our sales team and we want to send them, send them alerts and not have to individually update alerts here. So if we go to our alerts management, previously, say if we had some sales alerts for our sales team, we would have to individually add the users. And so for those of you that have a lot of users, you know how big of a pain this can be. So instead, we could say, here's our sales alert that we want to send, and we'll send it to the sales team. And then when we have new users added to our sales team, we just go and add them in here. And so this holds true for alerts, for authorizations, form settings, UI configuration templates, and cross-all types. So for our purchasing department, we want all users in here to have the same authorizations, alerts, form settings, etc. And so it allows us to do that a lot easier. Next, we also have this My Personal settings on the user level right up there in the header. Go ahead and open that. And so this gives the user a little bit more ability to customize things on their level. So some of these different features used to only be available at the company level. And now we have them available for the user to change and customize easily at the user level.
Yeah, and this is actually also a feedback from one of our clients, Mr. Cooney, who brought it to our attention. We communicated with SAP, and I think this is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving into the next one, we've always had this close all button, but now 9.3 has added the close all but this. So I know as you go through your day, you kind of accumulate open windows. And so this is a really easy way to clean up all those open windows and just leave your active window open there. Additionally, on these user management enhancements, we have this changelog cleanup. And so generally, if you're a company that's been running for a lot of years, this being a test database, we don't have a lot of changelog gunk or backlog. But in this case now, again, if you're a company who's been running for a long time, you may have a few gigs added to your database just in old changelogs. So this is a simple way you can reduce your database size, and it kind of helps with clarity. In terms of what changelogs you really need and what changelogs you don't. So that's a simple new enhancement that really helps. Also going over to the sales order here. So this is one of my favorite nifty new ones as well. We have this shortcut for date calculations. So you've always been able to have some quick date calculations like this will be the 15th of the month, say if I want to do the 15th of next month, those type of things. But now we have a calculation. So we can just say, hey, I want my delivery date to be 20 days from today's date. And it'll go ahead and calculate that. You can also calculate backwards, although for the delivery date field, probably not as relevant in this case, but you can do it. So a couple quick date calculations that are helpful as well. And then here we have what's called embedded incident management. So as you probably are aware, sometimes, let's open this up. Oh, okay, thanks, Lauren. So as you're probably aware, sometimes, you run into challenges while using the system that either we need to bring to SAP's attention, or maybe there's just, a problem with clarifying the exact steps. So one of the things they added was this report a problem feature, and it's embedded in the system, and it allows you to track every step that you take and package it up with the system info and kind of provide all of the information in an easy to understand way for us. So
Okay,
any other
so
comments on that, Oren?
yeah, no, this is excellent. Basically, if you are want to record your screen and see and sometimes when there are specific issues that we are unable to duplicate and you have it on your screen on real time, this will allow you to record your screen and report it directly to us. I think this is a great tool. We are very excited about that. And hopefully that will reduce significantly the amount of time back and forth you need to do with us and we need to do with SAP on those incidents. I'm very happy they added that. And one little thing actually Beth found is related to the blanket agreement is if before you had to have a professional user, now you don't have to have professional user for that. It's not in the documentation, so we thought it's important to mention that.
Wonderful, thanks, Oren.
So we have all those examples in the presentation, so we'll share it later with everyone. But this is basically everything Beth went through. And let's talk a little bit about financial enhancements. And there are a lot of small enhancements SAP have made in this version. I'm going to talk about only about few of them, but it's worth going through the documentation and see what could be applicable to you. The first thing is the chart of accounts. So if you upgrade to 9.3, one of the things you will notice that they added two new drawers in order to provide additional flexibility for consolidation and things of that nature. So you have now 9 and 10 doors that you could potentially add titles and active accounts under them. You will see that it will be the default on the P&L to show only 9 and 10. So if you do not want to see 9 and 10 in the P&L, what you need to do is to go into the financial reports templates. And if you define profit and loss, you can create a new one, demo 9.3, for example. You will choose to generate standard chart of accounts, but then we'll go into, and you can customize your chart of account even before using that tool and present it in whatever form you wish to do. But if I just want to get rid of 9, for example, I can go to advanced, delete account, and maybe also 10. I'm going to delete. You can add levels, add childs, things of that nature. But then when I go to the profit and loss statement, instead of choosing the template of chart of account, we're going to choose the demo 9.3, and then doors 9 and 10 will not be presented. Something else they added to the chart of account is the level that you'll see here. So you can go to level 3. You can open that to level 4. So you could see your structure completely different, depends on how you want to see that, okay? Something else being added, and for that I need level 4, is the ability to define closing accounts per account. So when you go through year-end closing, you have one closing account. Now SAP allow you to have to define specifically for specific account different closing account if you wish to. Few other things that are available are cost accounting adjustment only transaction. I'm not going to talk about it, but I know it's relevant for some of our bigger clients. Some of the other things, if you want per account to have specific remarks on the journal entry, you can define that here. And those are a few other things. And the other thing, you can restrict account balance. So you can allow balance on the account only between specific dates. And under administration, you could define if you're going to get alert or you completely want to block transactions and stuff like that. One small more things they added is in the category. Now you have a new category, which is a trial balance, if you wish to use that. So those are the main things related to enhancements in the chart of accounts. One more significant enhancement is to the GL account determination metrics. So you know that you could define GL accounts to define what would be the revenue account, COGS account, and things of that nature. But you see that some accounts have multiple rules. You could basically define almost anything happens in the business to trigger the system to go to a specific revenue account, specific cost of goods account, to hit a specific inventory account and things of that nature. So all of those are definable. And you can define, you know, if the ship to country or if the ship to states or if the item group is that, you can define any accounts. But more than that, SAP now added UDFs. So almost any of the UDFs in sales documents or purchasing documents could trigger the choice of using different revenue or inventory account and stuff like that. So things in the header of the marketing documents or in the lines of document lines, everything is, or in the item, everything could trigger the use of a different GL accounts. And you have up to 5 UDFs. This is pretty robust. I don't think any, this is probably more than needed for that functionality. The last thing I would mention is related to financial enhancements is if any of you are using the payment wizard to create, automatically create incoming payments, this will allow you to go through your open AP invoices and to choose what you want to pay and things of that nature, and the system automatically creates incoming payment. Now, if that process takes a long time and you're not able to use the system during the time, normally if you have thousands and thousands of transactions, that process could take some time. So SAP added now the ability to have it, to schedule it and to have the server run the wizard and for you later to come and to review the results. So that's a great feature. So if you have a lot of transactions, you can schedule that to run at night, you can schedule that to run on the weekend. And just a quick note, you do need to do a small setup in the job service in order for that to be available. So I don't see any questions. So with that, we're gonna go into the production area.
Perfect. So with each new version that's coming out, SAP has been enhancing the production module more and more. As you might know, in 9.2, they released the resource capabilities to have resource master data and be able to control, you know, machines and your labor, things like that. And so they've also enhanced that in the 9.3 release. In addition, they've introduced BOM routing. They've made enhancements to the pick and pack manager, and they've given the users a variance report on production orders.
So if we look at the resource master data, you know, in the planning data, before that we always have the daily capacity and things of that nature. Now you have relevant for single run. And in addition, you can always copy one master data into additional other master data in terms of machine updates or capacity and things of that nature.
Wonderful. Yeah. The other thing to note is that you can update the resource capacity factors. You can update them either by resource, or you can do a batch update of multiple different resources. So the single run capacity there was our new resource capacity feature.
The new thing about SAP Business One that is really revolutionary is the BOM routing. It is the start. There is still some more improvements that we'll do down the road, but this is a new concept of BOM routing, and Beth will talk a little bit about that and will show us how it works in SAP.
Perfect, thank you. So if we navigate over here to a production order, I've created a production order just to kind of give you a visual of how these route sequences would work. So for instance, we've set up some route sequences or route stages, assembly, weld, and quality check. And for each of these, all of the components of these stages are included in that route sequence. So you'll see in the assembly route stage, we have component A, component B, and a labor resource being used. And weld, the same thing. We have some items, some resources, and so on. And this is mirrored additionally in the bill of materials.
Okay, just to mention, if we are in the bill of materials, one more thing is now you are able to define a warehouse that is a drop ship. Before that, it was not available. Now they added that functionality. In addition, times that we normally had in the headers are now available in the rows. So production times and all of that nature, start date, end date, and things of that nature are available in the lines. And you can also export some additional things that may be relevant for runtime, status, and things of that nature. The reporting of the production is also enhanced. So if we are going to release this production order and we want to issue components, now we can do that. We can always do that in a right click, right issue components, but now you can do that by sequence. So we can choose any of those sequences. So if I choose the assembly one, and I have other selection criteria here, but if I choose this one, it will take into consideration only the items that are relevant for that routing stage. And that's how we could edit. We can select the serial numbers if you're using serial numbers, or the batch numbers if you're using batches, and continue with the production process with the next step. As you see, automatically it closed the lines of the items being issued, and then you can continue to the next stage of the production process. As you change different routing or change date or things of that nature, there is a whole new area to manage that and calculate that using the routing date calculation, and that will affect the whole production order situation. I think the production is really, they added a lot of nice features. So if you are really want us to drill down into that, we could definitely do a whole session just about production.
Absolutely. So the next feature that they enhanced is the Pick and Pack Manager. It's now called the Pick, Pack, and Production Manager. And so a couple of the things that they did here, you're now able to create templates for ease of use. So if there's some selection criteria that you use on a regular basis, you can create that template and then go back to there really easily. Additionally, we have some added fields in here that support the other production enhancements. So we're able to add resource, route sequence, priority as selection criteria fields in the pick and pack manager.
Yep, as you can see in the production order, now you have the priorities, so that will be enhanced in the in the pick and pack. And the last thing
Wonderful.
that we wanted to mention around production is really the variance that was always hard to find. Now SAP created a whole report for it. So when you drill down, it will show you exactly what's the breakdown of your variance, and you are able to see each one of them, what it's related to it, if it was a byproduct and things of that nature. Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay, and I see there are no questions, so we'll move to our next big topic, which is the data privacy and protection enhancements. So, as you may know, the European Union have a new law that requires companies that work under the European Union to obey to some privacy and protection requirements. Although it's only relevant in the European Union, we thought it worth mentioning and present some of those enhancements, because it may become a legal requirements also in the US in the future. And we know we have some global companies that also operate in Europe, but just wanted to mention this is not a legal advice. If you are working within the EU, please contact your authority. Just know that the software is supporting that right now. So let's see some of those enhancements. First, it's available from 9.3 patch level 4. Okay, so if you're a European customer that is upgrading, automatically by default this feature will be enabled, but not automatically in the US. European clients can uncheck that, but obviously it's not recommended. And in my case, after upgrading, in order to test that, I went to the company details under basic initialization, and this is how you enable that feature, and that will create few more fields and few more features that we're going to look at in a few minutes. So one of the things that you will notice, there are few master data that are going to be impacted by that. And for each one of them, there is a new field we'll call natural person. So if it's a natural person, the system can handle that a little bit differently. So this will be available under business partners, under contact persons, under users that have personal data, and also under employee master data, natural person. We know that also some of this data goes to different documents, so SAP created a robust way to define what is personal data and what is not. All of those GDPR enhancements are available under the utility menu. There is a new folder called Data Protection Tools. The first one is the personal data management. This is all comes as a default. So SAP recognized the 306 fields they believe could be relevant and contain personal information, either email, address, telephone, things of that nature about a person. And for each one of them, they define what are those fields. And you can define each one of those fields, if it's personal, if it's not personal, or you can do a batch update using, you can also. Okay. The other thing, this tool enables you to be very flexible. So if you have additional fields or other elements that you want to define as personal, you can always add additional details and define them as personal if they're not already in that list. Okay. The other thing is that I noticed that when we create, for example, a business partner or a contact and things of that nature, by default, it will not be a natural person. So you need to go through a wizard. For example, if we create here a new business partner, just random one, Elizabeth Cameron. So we add that business partner. I'm gonna go back to Elizabeth, and I'll see that it's grayed out. It doesn't let me the option to change it, and the status is none. So there is a wizard to define that. I'm gonna go under the same menu, data protection tool. This is basically the second menu that allow you to perform all kinds of batch updates to contacts, to users, to documents, and things of that nature. So I can start a new run so we can see the different options. First, as required by the European Union, if a person requests from a company a report what data they hold, uh, the company have to be able to provide it. And this is why they created the personal data report. And that will allow you to create, to print, and to email a report that will show that person all the data. The other thing, it allows you to do all kinds of batch updates to all your business partners, users, contact person, things of that nature. So for example, if I want to determine who are my natural person, I can click on that. It will take me through a list of, what do I want to define? Is it relevant to business partners, to contact, things of that, to users, things of that nature. I'm going to do that right now just for one person, Beth Elizabeth, that we created. So I'm choosing Elizabeth, but you can do that also based on property, based on group, things of that nature, what you always have. And that will allow us to define Elizabeth as a natural person. So I'm going to go through the wizard. I didn't execute, so let me run that again. Let's go back. We'll do determine natural person. I'm going to choose Elizabeth. Those are the list of users. So I'm going to go to business partners and we'll choose Elizabeth. And we'll click on next and next. And just before the end, I need to remember to go to execute, not just save it. And that will define her as natural. So if I go back to the business partner and refresh it, now I have that checkbox natural person, and now everything that and anybody that access specific information like email and telephone will have a log behind it. Okay. The other thing you can do using the same wizard is being able to print a report like we saw. So we'll start a new load, and Elizabeth is calling me and want to understand what information I'm holding on her. So we're gonna choose business partner. It's gonna be Elizabeth. It's gonna show us by default just the natural account. So help save time with the selection criteria. And it showed me all the information that we defined as sensitive. So her name, telephone, and email. And now we can print preview or print. In this case, I'm going to do a preview. It's going to generate a PDF file. And that's something that I can send to Elizabeth, basically. And then the last thing is that there have all kinds of other user management tools that allows you to do batch transaction. For example, to do cleanup of personal data. If somebody asks a company in the European Union to delete all his data, so you can do that through here. You can block a personal data, so nobody will be able to access that. So for example, Um, Again, if I'm going to do that for Elizabeth, I can go through that information, choose which document, and just execute. And then you can see that now it's grayed out. So if I drill down to Elizabeth, those three fields are not accessible, and it created that inactive. If I, as a user, if I do try to update something, it will tell me that that data subject of block or erase for data protection, and that will allow you also to restore that data if needed. So that is pretty much related to that window. And the last window is the sensitive personal data access log, and that will allow you to understand, users, what sensitive information they access to and things of that nature, assuming this one is enabled. And I think that pretty much cover the GDPR like on a high level. And because it's not a legal requirement in the US, we don't drill down into that too much, but we can have a separate session again if that required. And Beth is gonna show us some of the new additional enhancement. I'm not sure we're gonna have time for everything, but maybe just a couple of them if we have to select, and we have only a few more minutes to discuss. So she's gonna. There are a lot of enhancements around HANA and analytics, like there is analytical portal and new cockpit templates and things of that nature. The quick copy have been enhanced, so if you want to copy data from one company to another, it's much easier, and you don't have to copy that to a file. You can copy that directly from another company. Project management enhancements like billing, easier billing using a wizard, and they added also a Gantt chart to the project management introduced in Nano2. There are price list updates, import from Excel, and browser access, electronic file. I think Beth maybe want to focus on the query and import from Excel, but we are open also to present anything else you may want us to present.
So this is, I know I said I really like the approval enhancements, but this is also, probably one of my top favorites in terms of the 9.3 enhancements. So in the query manager, and especially if you've had been running for a few years, you have so many queries that have built up in here. And so a lot of the times you're thinking, okay, did I save this query in my system folder? Well, did I save it in the general folder? And now you're able to search. So say I have a sales query and I don't really remember which one. Now I can just type in sales and, oh, okay, there we go. I found my query. So it's a simple feature, but it's really helpful, really time saving, and one of my absolute favorites.
Nice, nice. One of the things they added, I don't know if everybody knows, but in addition to the DTW data transfer workbench that allow us to import almost anything into the system, SAP always had that data import feature, import from Excel. They added a couple of things now, so you could really import journal entries that wasn't available before. So if you have an Excel with a journal entry and you want to upload that, that's available now. Also, if you have any file with transaction of serial or batch numbers, it's available now, and it's much easier to handle price list updates. In addition, if you have constant update of business partner catalog number, that's now available also under the import from Excel menu.
Yeah, Oren, I have a question. Sorry if this was covered, but I'd like to know if there has been any automation on job scheduling, like anything to do with that type of automation with this upgrade?
When you say job scheduling, are you talking about production or about report scheduling?
Reports. So automation of the report scheduling. Is there any more improvements that have been done in that area?
Yeah, I think the only thing that they improved was, to be able to use groups in the alerts. They didn't do anything around that, but there is a feature available from previously. It's called Schedule Report Overview that allow you to choose crystal reports and schedule them. We do have some documentation about that. So if you go to, and let me quickly bring that website. And is this what you're referring to, by the way? To be able to
No,
schedule
I'm just curious.
crystal
Yeah.
reports to go out?
Yeah, I don't know much about the scheduling, so I was just curious what enhancements were done, if any.
Okay. So if I bring our website, on our website there is a knowledge base. So we always add new documents, and the new ones you will see highlights with new. So one of the things is how to schedule reports execution and mailing. That may be what you're looking for. That
Yeah,
should be
this
a
will be
feature.
helpful. I'll take a look at this. Thank you.
Okay, sure. And then thank you for opening our questions session. I think we have 5 more minutes. So with that, I'm thinking maybe the best use of our time right now is to go into to show you what are the enhancements, but maybe to go to questions. So if you have, feel free to write it on the chat or ask a question. Just one more thing we wanted to mention around the documentation. Following this webinar, we will send you all, or all of our clients, we will send you a recording of this session. We will send you the presentation. We will send you the recent SAP release highlights. The latest release is PL5, and we have that document. We'll share that PDF with you. And there is another document called What's New in 9.3. Those two documents contain all information related to 9.3. The other thing I really encourage you is to join our LinkedIn tips and tricks groups. We publish that on a weekly basis, all kinds of tips and tricks. And we are looking for you also to share your tips and tricks as you experience on a daily basis. So feel free to look for that group on LinkedIn, SAP Business One Tips and Tricks, and please join us. So with that, if you guys have any questions, we'll be happy to listen, or any comments.
Oren, I think we have a question in the chat.
Okay. How about BOM imports? Do we still have it to use DTW for that? Yes, Gori, BOM are still going to be imported using DTW. But they did add a couple of things that are related to easier management of BOMs that may help you. Bill of material component management, that will allow you to change BOM header or to change BOM lines. So for example, if you need to change one part number in all specific BOMs, so you can do that without DTW. You can just do that directly from SAP. If you want to change one thing in all the BOMs of a specific group, things of that nature. If you want to delete a specific labor item from all your BOMs, this will really allow you to be able, to control and fully manage your components in a very easy and efficient way. I hope it helps. Great. Any other questions? All right. As you review 9.3, please feel free to reach out to us and to let us know if you have further questions. I think somebody have a question. Okay, so with no further question, thank you very much. We look forward to your feedback, and we'll, as Jennifer said, we'll continue to do monthly webinars. Just send us what you guys want to get trained on. And appreciate everybody's time. Have a fantastic weekend. Happy Friday, and look forward to connecting with you in the future.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, everyone, for your time today. Really appreciate it.